Chosen one. This is why God kept you single all this time. It was not because you were unwanted. It was not because love forgot your name. It was not because something is wrong with you. And it was not because God looked at everyone else and decided they were ready for love, while you were meant to sit alone with unanswered prayers and quiet nights. No, there is something deeper happening here. You did not arrive at this message by accident. There are moments when your spirit is pulled toward a truth before your mind even understands why. There are moments when something inside you says, "Stay, listen, this is about you." And if you have been single longer than you expected, if you have watched other people find love while your own life stayed quiet, if you have wondered why the doors kept closing even when your heart was open, then this is not a casual message. God has been protecting something in you that the wrong relationship would have damaged. And before this ends, you are going to understand why certain connections did not work, why your standards kept rising, why your spirit could not settle even when your loneliness wanted to, and why the love God prepares for you cannot compete with the purpose He placed inside you. Stay with this until the end, because this is not just about being single. You are going to see the difference between rejection and protection. You are going to understand why some people were removed even though you cared about them. You are going to learn how to recognize peace instead of pressure. And you are going to hear the deeper reason why God did not allow your heart to attach itself to someone who could not carry the weight of who you are becoming. Because what felt like rejection may have been rescue. What felt like silence may have been surgery. What felt like loneliness may have been the place where God was quietly returning you to yourself. You have to understand this first. God saw what you could not see. He saw the future behind certain conversations. He saw the hidden cost behind certain attractions. He saw the way someone could admire your light, but still not honor your calling. He saw how easily a person could enjoy your presence, receive your care, take comfort in your depth, and still not have the capacity to protect your peace. Some people were not removed from your life because they were evil. Some were removed because they were not aligned. Some were removed because they wanted access to the parts of you that were soft, generous, loyal, and giving, but they were not prepared to honor the sacred responsibility of loving someone like you. And deep down, you knew. You knew because your spirit would not rest. There were people who looked right on the surface. They said certain things that sounded good. They gave you moments that felt warm. They made you imagine what life could be like if everything finally worked out. But then something inside you would tighten. Something in your chest would feel heavy. Something in your spirit would become quiet. Not in the peaceful way, but in the warning way. You tried to explain it away. You told yourself maybe you were afraid. Maybe you were overthinking. Maybe you were being too sensitive. Maybe your standards were unrealistic. Maybe you were pushing away love because of your past. But what if that was not fear? What if that was discernment? What if God was speaking through the absence of peace? Chosen one. Not every open door is an invitation from God. Not every person who wants your attention is assigned to your future. Not every connection that feels intense is holy. Sometimes, intensity is just an old wound, recognizing a familiar pattern. Sometimes chemistry is just your nervous system responding to uncertainty. Sometimes the person who excites your emotions is also the person who would exhaust your spirit. And God loved you too much to let you build a future on confusion. That is why the conversation faded. That is why the door closed. That is why the person who seemed so close suddenly felt far away. That is why something kept interrupting the connection. That is why your spirit could not fully say yes, even when your heart wanted to. God was protecting your yes, because your yes is powerful. When you choose someone, you do not love halfway. You do not give with a shallow heart. You do not attach lightly. You bring devotion. You bring loyalty. You bring prayer. You bring patience. You bring the kind of emotional depth that can become a home for someone else. And that is exactly why God had to guard you, because the wrong person would not have just broken your heart. They would have drained your calling. They would have made you doubt your own discernment. They would have made you apologize for your depth. They would have made you shrink your spiritual sensitivity just to keep the peace. They would have made you feel like your standards were too much, when really their capacity was too small. They could have loved your attention, but not your assignment. They could have loved your comfort, but not your conviction. They could have loved your softness, but not your strength. They could have loved being near your light, but not the responsibility of protecting it. And God saw that before you did. This is why you must stop calling every closed door a loss. Some closed doors were mercy. Some endings were coverings. Some disappearances were deliverance. Some people leaving your life was not proof that you were hard to love. It was proof that God was unwilling to let your heart become attached to someone who could not walk with the person you are becoming. But protection was only the first layer, because God was not only keeping the wrong person away from you, He was doing something inside you. He was healing the version of you that used to settle. And this may touch a tender place, but let it touch you honestly. There was a time when you might have confused being needed with being loved. You may have stayed too long because someone depended on you emotionally. You may have called it loyalty when it was actually exhaustion. You may have called it patience when it was really fear of starting over. You may have called it compassion when deep down you were trying to earn a place in someone's life by proving how much pain you could carry. You gave, then you gave again, then you gave even more. And when you were tired, you blamed yourself for not being stronger. When they were inconsistent, you tried to become more understanding. When they were distant, you tried to become more available. When they were unclear, you tried to become easier to choose. But love was never supposed to require your disappearance. Love was never supposed to make you abandon your own peace to keep someone else comfortable. Love was never supposed to make you feel like you had to beg for basic tenderness, basic honesty, basic presence, basic respect. God saw how much of yourself you were willing to lose just to feel chosen. So He stopped the pattern, not because He wanted to hurt you, because He wanted to heal you. He let you sit in the quiet long enough to notice what the noise had been hiding. He let you be alone long enough to see how often you had used other people to escape your own wounds. He let certain doors close long enough for you to realize that being alone with God is safer than being attached to someone who keeps pulling you away from yourself. This is not punishment. This is restoration. And if this is speaking to something deep inside you, just say this in your spirit, or write it in the comments if you feel led. I choose peace over pressure, because that sentence is not small. It is a boundary. It is a turning point. It is a declaration that you are no longer available for love that requires confusion as the cost of connection. Chosen one, God kept you single because there were parts of you that still believed love had to be earned through overgiving. He kept you single because there were parts of you that still felt guilty for having needs. He kept you single because there were parts of you that still thought being chosen meant being useful. He kept you single because there were parts of you that still felt responsible for saving people who were not ready to be healed. And He kept you single because He wanted to teach you this. You are not here to be someone's emotional rescue mission. You are not here to become smaller so someone else can feel bigger. You are not here to turn your life into a waiting room for someone who cannot decide whether they value you. You are not here to chase clarity from people who benefit from keeping you confused. You are not here to be tolerated. You are here to be honored. And before God allows you to enter a love that carries weight, He first teaches you how to recognize the difference between peace and pressure. So ask yourself, without fear, without shame, without rushing, does this connection bring peace, or does it bring pressure? Does it make you clearer or more confused? Does it honor your boundaries or punish you for having them? Does it bring you closer to God or closer to anxiety? Does it make obedience easier, or does it make you negotiate with your own spirit? You do not have to stand up. You do not have to write anything down. You do not have to perform some dramatic act. Just let your spirit answer. Imagine your heart like a quiet room with a door. Now imagine every relationship, every connection, every memory, every person you once wanted, standing outside that door. Do not open it yet. Just listen. Which presence brings peace? Which presence brings pressure? Which one makes your heart feel safe? Which one makes your spirit feel like it has to prepare for battle? That inner knowing is not something to ignore. That is the place where God often speaks before your mind has the courage to accept the answer. And for some of you, the reason the waiting has been so painful is because God has been teaching you to trust that quiet room again. You used to override it. You used to feel the warning and keep going. You used to feel the heaviness and call it love. You used to feel the confusion and call it excitement. You used to feel the absence of peace and call it a challenge. But not anymore. Now you are learning. Now your spirit is sharper. Now your standards are rising. And this is where some people misunderstand you. They think you are being too selective. They think you are too hard to impress. They think you are afraid of love. They think you have changed. But the truth is, you have not become colder. You have become clearer. You are not rejecting love. You are rejecting confusion. You are not running from commitment. You are running from counterfeit connection. You are not asking for perfection. You are asking for peace. And there is a difference. God had to form your standards because your old self would have negotiated them away. Your old self might have accepted attention and called it love. Your old self might have accepted chemistry and called it destiny. Your old self might have accepted potential and ignored patterns. Your old self might have stayed because leaving felt too lonely. But the person you are becoming cannot live like that anymore. The person you are becoming has a different relationship with silence. The person you are becoming does not panic every time a door closes. The person you are becoming does not chase someone who keeps creating confusion. The person you are becoming can want love deeply without worshipping the idea of being chosen. That is maturity. That is formation. That is God building something in you that cannot be easily manipulated by loneliness. And hear this clearly. Your standards are not the reason you are alone. Your standards may be the reason you were protected. Because if you had lowered them at the wrong time, you might have entered a relationship that looked like companionship but slowly became captivity. You might have given your future to someone who only knew how to consume your present. You might have built a life with someone who enjoyed your gift but resisted your growth. So God raised the standard before He opened the door. He taught you to ask deeper questions. Can this person honor my peace? Can this person respect my calling? Can this person love me without needing to control me? Can this person stand beside what God is building in me, or will they quietly compete with it? Can this person pray with me, grow with me, tell the truth with me, and still remain gentle when life becomes heavy? These questions are not too much. They are necessary, because you are not preparing for a love that merely fills empty space. You are preparing for a love that can stand near your purpose without becoming jealous of it. You are preparing for a love that understands your silence, not just your smile. You are preparing for a love that does not punish your boundaries. You are preparing for a love that brings rest to your spirit, not just butterflies to your body. This is why God kept you single. He was not simply keeping people away. He was making sure that when the right person comes, you will not hand them the broken version of yourself that still believes love must be chased, earned, begged for, or survived. And there is another reason the waiting has felt so strange. It is because God has been clearing the noise around your discernment. When you are lonely, the mind can become loud. You start questioning everything. Did I miss my chance? Was I too guarded? Should I have tried harder? Am I asking for too much? Is God really preparing someone? Or am I just telling myself that, so the waiting hurt less? These questions can become so loud that your spirit struggles to hear what God is actually saying. And later, I need to show you something connected to that inner noise. Something about the way your mind, your spirit, and your discernment work together. There is a deeper connection between clarity and the frequency your mind is living in. There is a reason some people can pray and still feel foggy, ask for guidance and still feel mentally crowded, desire love and still keep choosing confusion, but not yet. Because before we go there, you need to understand the part of God's plan that almost nobody talks about. God was not only preparing you for love, He was protecting your calling from the wrong attachment. This is the deeper layer. Because the wrong relationship does not always destroy you suddenly. Sometimes it distracts you slowly. It does not always come with obvious danger. Sometimes it comes with comfort. Sometimes it comes with attention. Sometimes it comes with chemistry. Sometimes it comes with someone who likes you just enough to keep you hoping, but not enough to build with you in truth. And if your calling is heavy, if your life carries assignment, if God has placed something unusual in your spirit, then you cannot afford to be joined to someone who makes you spiritually sleepy. You cannot afford love that pulls you away from prayer. You cannot afford love that makes you numb to your own purpose. You cannot afford love that turns your attention away from what God told you to build. You cannot afford love that makes you trade peace for constant emotional repair. Because your life is not random. Your sensitivity is not random. Your depth is not random. Your discernment is not random. The way you feel things before they happen, the way you sense when something is off, the way you carry burdens that others do not understand, the way you keep being pulled toward purpose, even when you try to live a normal life, none of that is random. God did not keep you single because love is absent. He kept you single because the wrong love would have interrupted the assignment. And this is where everything changes. Because when God prepares love for a chosen one, He does not only ask, "Will this person make you happy?" He asks, "Can this person walk with the weight of what I placed inside you? Can this person honor the anointing without trying to control it? Can this person stand beside your growth without becoming threatened by it? Can this person love the healed version of you, not just the wounded version that was easier to access? Can this person be part of your peace, not another place where you have to recover?" That is why the delay had to happen. That is why God did not allow you to settle. That is why every almost relationship could not become the final answer. That is why every door that seemed promising still closed. Because God was not just choosing a person for your life. He was preparing a love that would not compete with His calling on your life. And in the next part, this becomes even deeper. Because the deepest reason God kept you single was not simply that the wrong people were not ready for you. It is that you were being formed into someone who could receive the right love without losing yourself inside it. There is a kind of love that comes too early and becomes damaged by immaturity. There is a kind of love that is right in desire but wrong in timing. There is a kind of love that could have been beautiful, but if it arrives before healing, it becomes heavy. And God knows how to protect what is sacred before it is exposed too soon. So if you have been asking, when will they come? God may be asking something deeper. Who are you becoming before they arrive? Because the love God sends will not ask you to abandon your peace. It will not mock your sensitivity. It will not compete with your purpose. It will not require you to become a smaller version of yourself just to keep someone close. And when the right connection comes, it will not feel like spiritual chaos dressed up as romance. It will feel like your soul can finally breathe. So do not curse the waiting. Do not despise the quiet. Do not call your singleness a failure when God may be using it as sacred construction. You were not rejected. You were protected. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. You were not left behind. You were being hidden until your heart could recognize what peace actually feels like. And now, the next truth must be spoken. The person connected to your future cannot meet the version of you that still thinks love means self-abandonment. The love God is preparing cannot be received by the version of you that still chases confusion. And the assignment on your life cannot be carried beside someone who wants your heart but not your purpose. That is why this waiting season matters. That is why the door closed. That is why your standards rose. That is why your spirit could not settle. And that is why the deepest reason God kept you single is not about who left. It is about who you are becoming. And that is why everything changes when you stop asking only, when will love come? And you start asking, who am I becoming before love arrives? Because, chosen one, God was not only preparing you for a relationship, He was preparing you for a relationship that would not make you betray the person He spent so long building. That is the part many people miss. They want love before identity. They want partnership before peace. They want someone beside them before they have learned how to stand within themselves. But in the order of God, the garden came before the union. Purpose came before partnership. Assignment came before attachment. Adam was placed in the garden before Eve was brought into his life. He had something to steward, something to name, something to cultivate, something to protect, before he was joined to another heart. That does not mean love is less important. It means love is too sacred to be placed on an unstable foundation. God is not careless with covenant. He does not send something holy into a life that is still willing to abandon itself just to keep someone close. He does not place a deep love into hands that still confuse anxiety with passion, pressure with purpose, or being needed with being chosen. So when He kept you single, He was not wasting your years. He was building your foundation. He was teaching you how to be loved without becoming dependent on constant reassurance. He was teaching you how to care without rescuing. He was teaching you how to receive without suspicion. He was teaching you how to say no without guilt. He was teaching you how to be alone without becoming empty. You went into this season needing validation, and you are coming out secure. You went into this season afraid of silence, and you are coming out peaceful. You went into this season chasing clarity from people, and you are coming out guided by God. You went into this season willing to shrink, and you are coming out unwilling to abandon yourself. That is not a small transformation. That is sacred formation. And this is why the delay has felt so personal. Because God was not just working around you, He was working inside you. He was touching the places where love had become tangled with fear. He was touching the places where your heart still expected rejection. He was touching the places where your past taught you to perform, to prove, to chase, to fix, to wait, to explain, to become whatever someone else needed so they would not leave. And slowly, quietly, painfully, He began to separate love from survival. Because real love cannot be received clearly by a heart that is still living in survival. A heart in survival does not ask, is this person aligned? It asks, will they leave me? A heart in survival does not ask, do I feel peace here? It asks, how can I keep this from falling apart? A heart in survival does not ask, is this connection helping me become who God called me to be? It asks, what do I need to become so this person will finally choose me? And God refused to let you build your future from that place. That is why He slowed you down. That is why He let the wrong doors close. That is why He allowed the quiet to become louder than the voices you used to chase. He was not trying to make you lonely. He was trying to make you honest. Honest about what you actually need. Honest about what you can no longer tolerate. Honest about the version of love that your wounded self would have accepted. Honest about the peace your healed self now requires. And now comes the deeper twist. God may have been protecting you from the wrong person, yes. But He may have also been protecting the right connection from arriving too early. Let that sit in your spirit. Sometimes the delay is not only about removing what is wrong. Sometimes the delay is about protecting what is right before it is ready to be revealed. Because even the right person at the wrong time can become heavy. Even a beautiful connection before healing can become strained by fear. Even a God-ordained relationship, if rushed by loneliness, can be damaged by insecurity, control, comparison, and old wounds that were never brought into the light. And God knows how to protect sacred things before human hands mishandle them. You may have been praying, send them now, But God may have been saying, not until your heart can receive without fear. You may have been praying, let this finally happen. But God may have been saying, not until you stop making love responsible for proving your worth. You may have been praying, why am I still waiting? But God may have been saying, because I am protecting both of you. I am protecting you from attaching from pain. I am protecting them from being made responsible for wounds only I can heal. I am protecting the covenant from the pressure of premature timing. I am protecting the love from becoming a battlefield before it ever becomes a blessing. This is why timing matters. Ruth did not force redemption. She walked in faithfulness. She walked through loss, through uncertainty, through a field she did not know would become part of her future. She did not chase the promise in panic. She positioned herself in humility, loyalty, and obedience, and the right door opened in the right field, at the right time. That is what God does. He does not always announce the field before He sends you there. He does not always explain the delay before He uses it. He does not always tell you who is connected to your future before He prepares you to recognize them. But He does prepare the ground. And if you have been in a long waiting season, maybe God has been preparing your field. Maybe He has been removing the weeds of desperation. Maybe He has been softening the soil of your heart. Maybe He has been teaching you how to receive rain without running back to drought. Maybe He has been making you into someone who does not sabotage peace just because peace feels unfamiliar. Because some of you are not only waiting for love, you are learning how not to destroy it when it comes. That is not shame. That is truth with mercy. When you have been disappointed enough times, peace can feel suspicious. When you have been used enough times, kindness can feel like a setup. When you have been abandoned enough times, consistency can feel unreal. When you have lived around emotional chaos, a calm person may feel boring at first, because your nervous system learned to associate intensity with connection. So God had to retrain your spirit. He had to teach you that peace is not boring, peace is safe. He had to teach you that consistency is not weak. Consistency is mature. He had to teach you that love does not need to keep you anxious in order to feel powerful. Love can be steady and still be deep. Love can be gentle and still be passionate. Love can be peaceful and still be sacred. Love can be quiet and still be chosen by God. And this is how you know you are becoming ready. You are becoming ready when you no longer need constant attention to believe you are valuable. You are becoming ready when you can say no without writing a long emotional defense in your mind. You are becoming ready when you can feel attraction and still ask for alignment. You are becoming ready when you can desire love without worshipping it. You are becoming ready when you stop calling confusion a challenge. You are becoming ready when you stop calling emotional distance a mystery. You are becoming ready when peace becomes more attractive than intensity. You are becoming ready when you can tell the difference between someone who awakens your wounds and someone who awakens your purpose. This does not mean you must be perfect before love comes. Please hear that. God is not waiting for you to become flawless. He is not demanding that every fear disappear before He blesses you. He is not saying you must become some untouchable spiritual person who never feels lonely, never feels desire, never has questions, never has tender places. No, readiness is not perfection. Readiness is alignment. Readiness is the ability to notice your fear without letting it choose for you. Readiness is the ability to receive love without making it your God. Readiness is the ability to be honest without performing. Readiness is the ability to walk beside someone without losing the path God placed under your feet. So ask yourself gently, if the right person came into my life, would I know how to receive peace? If someone loved me with consistency, would I trust it, or would I test it until it broke? If someone honored my boundaries, would I relax, or would I still search for a hidden threat? If someone supported my calling, would I let them stand beside me, or would I assume I have to carry everything alone? These questions are not meant to condemn you. They are meant to reveal where God is still healing you. Because the deepest reason he kept you single was not just that other people were wrong for you. It was that he was making sure you would not lose yourself when the right person arrives. And this is where many chosen ones have struggled. You can discern other people so clearly, but when it comes to your own heart, the noise gets loud. You can feel when someone else is hurting. You can sense when a room shifts. You can detect hidden motives before anyone explains them. You can carry spiritual weight that others do not even know is present. But when love gets involved, suddenly the mind becomes crowded. You start asking too many questions. Is this God? Or is this fear? Is this peace? Or am I just numb? Is this attraction? Or am I repeating a pattern? Is this my standard? Or am I blocking love? Should I wait? Or should I move on? Should I give grace? Or am I abandoning myself again? And that inner noise can become exhausting. It can feel like your mind is filled with static. You pray, but still feel foggy. You ask for guidance, but your emotions keep interrupting. You want to choose wisely, but the old wounds speak loudly. You want to hear God, but anxiety keeps trying to imitate urgency. That is why clarity matters so much in this season. Because if your mind is crowded, you can mistake pressure for instruction. If your emotions are inflamed, you can mistake longing for confirmation. If your nervous system is stuck in survival, you can mistake peace for absence and chaos for chemistry. And this brings us back to something I mentioned earlier. There is a deeper connection between the state of your mind and the way you discern what God is showing you. This is not about forcing love to arrive. This is not about manipulating someone into choosing you. This is not about using some shortcut to replace prayer, wisdom, healing, or obedience. It is about supporting the inner clarity that helps you stop choosing from fog. Because many people are not lacking signs. They are lacking the stillness to interpret them. Many people are not lacking guidance. They are lacking the mental quiet to receive it. Many people are not lacking divine protection. They are fighting against it because their mind is too crowded to recognize peace when God sends it. This is why I want to speak carefully about something that may help some of you. There is a 7-minute audio ritual called the Genius Song. The way it is described is simple. You put on headphones, listen for 7 minutes, and allow the sound technology to support a brainwave state connected with focus, clarity, intuition, and flow. The people behind it describe this as brain entrainment, a method designed to help the mind move into a more coherent state, especially connected with gamma activity. Now let me be honest with you. This is not magic. This is not a replacement for God. This is not a promise that love will show up tomorrow, or that your entire life will change without your participation. Never hand your power to a tool. But sometimes God allows tools to appear at the right time to support the work He is already doing inside you. Think of it like this. If your mind is a radio and the signal of peace is already being broadcast, anxiety can make the channel full of static. You may still be praying. You may still be receiving guidance. You may still be protected. But the noise makes it hard to hear what is actually being said. A tool like this is not the voice of God. It is more like turning down the static so you can become more present to what He has already been trying to show you. And for a chosen one, that matters. Because your discernment is one of the most important gifts you carry. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. Your depth is not a mistake. Your ability to feel what is off, sense what is aligned, and recognize peace before the evidence appears, that is part of how God has been guiding you. But when your mind is exhausted, that gift can feel buried. When you are emotionally tired, you may start doubting what you know. When you have been single for a long time, you may become tempted to override your discernment because you are tired of waiting. So the real question is not, how do I force love to happen? The better question is, how do I become clear enough to stop choosing from fear? There is a story connected to this that stayed with me. A man described his marriage as two people living in the same house, but no longer truly seeing each other. They were not screaming every day. They were not destroying each other. but there was noise between them. Mental noise. Emotional noise. Years of being present physically, but absent internally. His wife suggested trying the Genius song, not because she wanted another complicated spiritual practice, but because she wanted to try something simple, something that did not require hours, something that did not require becoming a different person overnight. And what he said changed first was not money, not status, not some dramatic outside event. He said he started listening, really listening. He described it as if the noise in his mind became quiet enough for him to hear the person in front of him again. That is the kind of shift that matters in relationships. Because sometimes love does not fail because there is no feeling. Sometimes love suffers because people cannot hear each other through the noise inside themselves. And if you are single right now, this matters before the relationship comes. Because you do not want to enter the next connection with a mind so crowded that you cannot hear peace. You do not want to meet someone aligned and then sabotage it because your nervous system only recognizes chaos. You do not want to keep asking God for guidance while ignoring the condition of the inner place where guidance must land. Again, this is not about replacing prayer. It is not about replacing wise counsel. It is not about replacing healing work. It is simply a tool. And for some people, it may become part of the way they create space for clarity. The original price is $49, but there is a special access price of $39 through the link provided with this message. It is a digital audio track, so there is no shipping, no waiting, and no complicated setup. You also receive the additional bonuses that come with it, including the child-focused audio, the classic book, the guided visualization, and the infographic for daily habits. And there is a 100% money-back guarantee, which matters because no one should feel pressured into something like this. If you explore it and feel it is not for you, the guarantee is there. I also need to say this clearly. There are imitations and random copies online using the Genius song name. Some are just ordinary audio with no real embedded brain entrainment technology. If you feel led to explore it, use only the link provided in the description and pinned comment, so you receive the original version, the bonuses, and the guarantee. Do not search randomly and assume every version is the same. And do not approach it from desperation. Approach it from discernment. If your spirit resonates with the idea of supporting clarity, focus, and inner stillness for 7 minutes a day, then you can explore it. If not, simply receive the teaching and keep walking with God. Because the tool is not the center of this message. Your wholeness is. Your discernment is. Your peace is. Your readiness is. The real work is still becoming the person who can receive love without losing yourself. And now we return to the deepest truth. God did not keep you single to make you lonely. He kept you single to make you whole. He kept you single to protect your peace before someone else had access to it. He kept you single to heal the parts of you that would have settled for less than what He intended. He kept you single to raise your standards until they matched your calling. He kept you single to teach you that attention is not the same as love, chemistry is not the same as covenant, and pressure is not the same as peace. He kept you single so you would stop choosing from fear. He kept you single so you would stop confusing being needed with being cherished. He kept you single so you would stop mistaking emotional chaos for spiritual depth. He kept you single so when the right person comes, you will recognize them not by the storm they create, but by the peace they carry. Because the love God prepares for you will not compete with your purpose. It will not make you feel guilty for growing. It will not require you to explain your calling until you are exhausted. It will not mock your sensitivity. It will not punish your boundaries. It will not need you broken in order to feel powerful. It will not ask you to become less spiritual, less honest, less discerning, less devoted, less yourself. The love God sends will not pull you away from Him. It will help you walk more steadily with Him. And even if that love does not arrive in the exact way or timing you imagined, you can trust this. God is not careless with your heart. He knows the tenderness you carry. He knows the nights you cried quietly. He knows the birthdays, the holidays, the empty spaces, the moments when you wondered if you were asking for too much. He knows the way you have tried to be strong while still longing to be held. He knows the ache of being the person who understands everyone else, while wondering when someone will finally understand you. He knows, and he has not been mocking your desire. He has been maturing it. He has not been ignoring your heart. He has been guarding it. He has not been withholding love because he is cruel. He has been shaping you so that when love comes, it does not become an idol, a distraction, a cage, or a battlefield. It becomes a blessing. Now, without moving your body, without needing to write anything down, do this inside your spirit. Picture your heart as a quiet garden, not a crowded street, not a battlefield, not a waiting room where you sit anxiously watching the door. A garden. There is soil there that God has been turning over for years. There are places where old roots were pulled out. There are places that looked empty, but were actually resting. There are places where nothing seemed to grow because the ground was being prepared beneath the surface. Now, imagine a gate at the edge of that garden. Do not open it quickly. Do not run toward it. Do not panic because it is still closed. Just stand inside that garden and let your spirit say, God, only open this gate for what carries peace. Only open this gate for what honors your work in me. Only open this gate for what can walk with my purpose. Only open this gate for what does not require me to abandon myself. And now, imagine every false attachment, every almost relationship, every old fantasy, every person you had to release, every memory that still tries to pull you backward, standing outside that gate. You do not curse them. You do not chase them. You do not beg them to become what they were never willing to be. You simply let God keep the gate. And in your spirit, say this: I release what God did not send. I release what cost me peace. I release what made me smaller. I release what confused me. I release what kept me attached to the old version of myself. And I receive the love that comes in peace. I receive the timing that comes from God. I receive the healing that makes me whole. I receive the patience that protects my future. I receive the discernment to know the difference. That is the shift. Not chasing, not forcing, not begging, not proving, receiving from a place of peace. And if you feel led, leave one simple sentence as a declaration: I will not abandon myself for love. That sentence matters, because the next season cannot be built on self-betrayal. The next love cannot be built on fear. The next door cannot be entered by the version of you that thinks being chosen means being consumed. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to be cherished. You are not here to be controlled. You are here to be covered. You are not here to be tolerated. You are here to be honored. And when God brings what is aligned, it will not require you to silence the very spirit He awakened in you. So let this be sealed over your life. May every connection that is not assigned to your peace lose its grip. May every counterfeit love lose its attraction. May every old pattern lose its voice. May every place in you that still wants to settle be gently healed. May every fear that says you are running out of time be silenced by the truth that God knows your name, your heart, your story, and your season. May you stop measuring your timeline by people who are not carrying your assignment. May you stop comparing your hidden preparation to someone else's visible celebration. May you stop calling yourself behind when God has been building you in secret. May you understand that singleness in the hands of God is not emptiness. It is formation. It is protection. It is recovery. It is preparation. It is the sacred space where you learn who you are before another heart is invited to stand beside you. And I hear this in my spirit for someone. God is saying, I did not keep you single because I rejected you. I kept you single because I refused to let the wrong person mishandle what I was healing. I refused to let temporary attention damage permanent purpose. I refused to let your loneliness choose what your healed self would have rejected. I refuse to let you mistake a counterfeit for covenant. And when I send what is aligned, it will not compete with my calling on your life. It will confirm it. So rest, chosen one, not in passivity, not in hopelessness, not in the belief that nothing is happening. Rest in the truth that God knows how to prepare what He plans to bless. The door did not close because love was gone. It closed because God was making room for love that could stay. The delay did not happen because you were forgotten. It happened because your heart was being protected from what could not go with you. The silence was not proof that nothing was moving. It was proof that sacred things often grow beneath the surface before they are revealed. And now you know why. God kept you single because He was protecting your peace. God kept you single because He was healing your patterns. God kept you single because He was raising your standards. God kept you single because He was preserving your calling. God kept you single because He was teaching you how to recognize love that feels like rest, not warfare. And when the right connection comes, you will not have to become someone else to keep it. You will not have to chase it into clarity. You will not have to shrink your spirit to fit inside it. You will not have to beg it to honor what God placed in you. It will meet you in peace. It will walk with purpose. It will recognize the work of God in you, and it will not make you abandon yourself. So until then, do not despise the waiting. Do not curse the quiet. Do not reopen what God closed just because loneliness gets loud. Do not lower the standard God used to protect your future. You are not too late. You are not too difficult. You are not too deep. You are not too much. You are becoming whole, and the love that is truly meant for your life will not ask you to become less healed in order to be chosen. It will meet the person God has been forming all this time. And finally, your spirit will understand. This was never punishment. This was the secret plan. You were not being kept from love. You were being prepared for the kind of love that could keep you close to God, close to peace, and close to yourself.